I remember during the pandemic, there was a point where you were like really overwhelmed with the podcast.
Sure.
And I don't think you were trying to quit, but you were hinting at me that you're like, I'm just trying to figure out how to do this without being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what you meant by that. I was like, what do you mean by that? But now I realize it means like, how can you do this thing that you love without like it rocking you emotionally all the time? Because that is not a healthy way to live life.
No.
Welcome to another episode of Asian Not Asian Podcast, the podcast where two Asian guys not from Asia talk about American issues no American cares about. I'm just some guy, Fumi
I'm Mike Nguyen. Yo,
we're back, baby.
Oh man, how'd that feel? How'd that feel coming out the gate like that?
It was like riding a bike, you know.
Yeah,
I knew how to do it.
It just came right back. It's just flowing.
It came right back.
You probably say it in your sleep sometimes.
Probably if you see me sleep talking.
Yeah. Flashlight. Yeah. Welcome, dude. This is the Asian Not Asian Podcast. Now the logline is podcast with all your favorite Asian friends.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I listen to it.
You do?
For a while I didn't listen to it, but then I started listening to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
It's
interesting. It's interesting listening to this podcast now as a consumer and a fan, as opposed to like the creator and the person behind the scenes. It's a different experience.
I want to get into that.
Yeah.
Just very quickly. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Mike Nguyen. Jenny is living her best life. She's in Cape Cod right now. So a couple of weeks ago, she had a Girl Talk podcast. It was her and Young Me and Julia Shiplet, and that did real good. People loved it. We got a whole bunch of new Patreon subscribers because of it. For reals. For real. So this is we're now East Coast Asian Boss Girl. We're now that. Okay, we're going to be talking about careers. We're going to be talking about, I don't even know what they talk about. I remember you made this joke when I first left. You were like, oh, we got Jenny. And then you're like, and the next phase of Asian Not Asian is I quit. and then the podcast blows up. Yeah. We just have to keep getting one straight guy. We got to get rid of one straight guy at a time. One straight guy.
We're parasites.
Yes.
We're the infection.
We're the dude living in the sub basement in Parasite.
We're that guy.
Like Jenny she's the rich family.
The rich family, yeah.
And then like I'm in the basement.
We keep coming out and killing her friends at birthday parties.
Yeah, exactly. And just like stealing her food or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, that episode did real good. So now we got another episode where it's going to be Boys Night.
Boys Night. This one's going to get 200 listens.
It's going to get 200 listens. We're going to lose all of our Patreon subscribers. But before we get into that, just a couple of announcements. Thank you for everyone who came out to Hack City last night. It's the second Friday of every month. So please come back and come check that out. Fumi was our little surprise guest. We didn't want to say it because I don't know. He had another show after, and it's a whole complicated thing. But thank you very much for everyone who did come out. Also, we're still raising funds for those affected in Maui. So there's a link in the episode description. So, if you can give, otherwise, the best thing you can do is just, tell people about this podcast, leave a review, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe, and don't be a weirdo. Sometimes we get weirdos on there, but that's okay. That's okay. Also, we don't have any new Patreon subscribers this week because just too many guys.
But
if you want to support the podcast, Patreon's the best way to support the podcast. It's patreon.com/Asian Not Asian Pod, and we give you a shout out and we give you a little backstory. And Jenny's really good at it because she is an improver, and I am okay at it because that's how it is.
Yeah. That's okay.
And that's okay. And that's okay because you're on the show today. I'm just going to bring you on, all that shit.
Hey, I don't know.
Writer, comedian, podcaster, host of Cash Cuties.
Yes.
Still going on?
Still going on.
I never listen.
It's okay.
No, that's not true. I do listen, but I'm not a regular listener. But fucking LA Asian.
LA Asian
Look
now,
at these
dude.
shorts.
West Coast Asian now, dude.
Dude, you got the Yale shirt on too? Is this?
Yeah, I got it on eBay.
You did?
It's vintage. Because I remember one time you told me you shop at eBay.
I do. I love shopping on eBay.
And I was like, I don't know what that means. And then I was looking at it. I was like, oh, he's buying like used clothes.
Yes, that's right.
Like cool, like random stuff. Like as if you're going thrifting, but you can just do it online.
Exactly.
Because thrifting is an exhausting activity.
Well, now it's become like a thing where it's like on TikTok now. And now it's like, it was always kind of annoying, but now it's even more annoying because you're competing against like some like fuckboy in Wisconsin for all your shit.
Oh yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? So now
online.
it's just getting like Shop Op, all that shit. It's just getting too much. So like it's all about like going on places and finding things like that are just off the radar. You know?
I don't love the experience. Like when you do find something you like, it's cool, but I don't know if it's because of what you just said, how it's become more popular. Because I don't know if you know this, we did a whole episode about thrifting and shopping. But Gen Z, they love thrifting.
Yes,
they love
do.
secondhand clothes.
Sure.
I went to some thrift shop the other day. Everybody was like 19 years old. High schoolers, actually. High schoolers.
Crazy.
And I was like, oh, wait, like I was not doing this in high school, and it wasn't. I just feel like it just wasn't a thing. I don't know if it's because it wasn't cool or not. I just think nationwide, you can live in Wisconsin. If you go to Madison, I'm sure there's a cool vintage shop, you know? Everybody's doing it because of the Gen Z is more conscious about the environment and stuff like that.
Because like I grew up in the era that Gen Z is doing now.
You grew up in the era where the clothes that they're buying, it's from the 90s.
I'm like you know how the dinosaurs eventually became petroleum?
Yeah.
I'm that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I bought the shit from Structure or from the Jenko pants.
Yes.
And then I got rid of those things, and those things became like got into the earth, and then like
the Gen Z's digging it up.
They're digging it up and going like, we're gonna be using this for fire.
And
you know?
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, you go to like there was a cool like sports vintage shop, and like I love wearing like
in LA.
In Alphabet City.
Oh yeah,
and I love wearing like random colleges and like sports stuff. And they had
You
all
have
that. But it was, bro, these shirts are like $65, and I'm like, it's got like spaghetti stains on it and stuff because it's old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you cannot pay $65 for like a t-shirt that's just because it's from 95.
Right.
You know? So that's tough for me.
Yeah.
Financially, because I'm a stingy little boy, but no.
Well, we're gonna get into it. I didn't even say your name yet. Fumi Abe.
Oh, hi.
Okay, hi.
I bet there's a lot of people who don't even know who I am.
No, I don't know if that's true.
Because it's been this for a year and a half. We're talking like that's like what, over 50 episodes.
Yeah, more than 50.
So if they found you, you know, in the last 6 months, they probably wouldn't know.
What a weird experience that would be. I was just thinking about this because sometimes I'm like, oh, should I have like rebranded? Because like if season 1, quote unquote season 1, like 200 episodes or something you and I did, that's like another era, and then there's like a break, and then there's like Jenny and I now.
And I feel like you guys went through I feel like you guys have found your thing now.
I think so.
There was a transition period. There
was a transition period. We're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And that transition period is me leaving. You know, that's like we're still in the transition period.
We're trying to get you out of here.
Yeah. It was actually kind of nice just to go back to the Girl Talk episode because like they were doing it, and I always say now on the podcast it'd be nice to have like a live producer who's sitting there like doing all the live shit, you know? And I realized I need to be that person.
Dude, maybe it's time you step up. Like like your salary might, you know, you could take more of the money or something, and you just become the producer, you know,
just become like the executive producer,
the tech guy. You have all this tech shit.
I do have so much tech shit. This is cool. We're just gonna fucking catch up. If people don't know, this is the fucking co-founder you know, of Asian Not Asian, the original CEO before you became an LA Asian.
Yeah.
And you're back in New York a lot, and you haven't been back on the show. You're here for another thing, but you know, we did each other's shows yesterday, so that was cool. And fuck, man, like for people who do know who you are and you're out in LA, and I'm sure we have got some people listen to your Cash Cuties thing, but that show, it's about you in the sense that it's like you're interested in money, you know?
Yes.
But it's not about you in the sense it's like, you know, like today I went and I was wondering what I'm doing with my life. I don't know. Is it?
It can be like that. You know, I think we're still kind of new and like figuring out what people like and what we like and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's not like, yes, when we have a specific guest on, like we had somebody who, this is you're gonna cry when I tell you this. We had somebody on who retired at 41.
Yeah.
Okay, and she walked us through like the FIRE movement.
Right.
So when we have people like that, it's very like informational. And then when we have our comedian friends on, it's very like roasty. But when it's just us two, like, you know, obviously like after 50 whatever episodes, you kind of run out of things to talk about. So it can be like that, but we just kind of do it through the lens of money.
Lens of money.
We started the podcast after I had sort of like left Corden, and I was sort of like in this place of like, what am I supposed to do for money? Like, so that's all I was thinking about. So like that's sort of like, that was the energy when it first started.
Right.
So yeah, like it is a lot about like, well, you know, hey, I'm planning, like if I, like this tour that I'm doing, like I'll break down the finances of like how much I'm making each show and stuff like that.
Shit.
So it's very nosy. So if you're into just like nosy shit, how much other people are making, how much I'm making.
But that's a good thing. I feel, you call it, I mean, we do call it nosy, but we should be talking about.
And it's the transparency thing is nice,
Well, let's get into, let's explicitly get into it. How you left the show a year and a half ago, been out in LA doing your thing. You were in LA, before you left the show, but fuck, man, just how is it going? How, LA dude, I mean, just catch us up, man.
It's been 2 years now,
dude,
since I moved there, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
Time really flies. I mean, like when I first got there, like, yeah, I was still doing Asian on Asian. So like, I got like depressed and stuff. And, like, I bought like a shitty car, and then, I was fired on Asian American Heritage Month, which is insane.
Yeah.
By the way, this is insane. I remember I called you.
They didn't call it firing. They called it emancipation.
Yeah.
You're free now.
Yeah. And then after that, I was like, sort of like, okay, do I move back? What do I do? Do I go back to my job? Like, do I go back to New York? Like, just so many things. But I was like, sort of like freaking out, panicking. I knew that this is something I had to figure out because this was not going to be the last time I felt this way.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I remember you called me.
I called you.
You called me on the phone, and I was like, oh shit, some shit happened. Like,
I don't know who else to call.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell Maria yet.
Oh, really?
What's crazy is Maria was planning on moving in June.
Oh,
at Asian American Heritage Month. May. Literally lost my job like the week she moved there. We're like laughing about it.
Oh my God.
And now she works at like a cool tech job and she's doing fine. But at the time, like, she didn't have a job either.
Yeah.
She didn't have a job either. So her whole plan was like, oh, you're going to support me, right? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Which I was able to because I saved a lot. But like, so I went through this whole thing of like, I started seeing a therapist and I went through this whole thing of like, how can I keep doing, you always say this and I never knew what it's so funny. This is my whole life. I feel like, because we are probably like 8 or 9 years apart.
Sure.
I'm always catching up to you because you always say some shit to me, but I'm too young to understand what you mean.
Oh, funny.
And then as I get older, like I'm turning 34 this year.
Sure.
So now I'm understanding things you said to me in 2014. You know what I mean? Like there's just things you used to say. You used to say things to me at coffee shop and we write together, and I was like, I don't know what this guy's talking about.
What are you talking about?
I don't know what he's talking about now.
Whatever.
Like,
I'm gonna be young forever.
You always used to say, I'm just trying. I forget what you said exactly, but you always say, you always say, I'm trying to do this without like hating myself, or like I'm trying to do this without like. I remember during the pandemic. There was a point where you were like really overwhelmed with the podcast.
Sure.
And I don't think you were trying to quit, but you were hinting at me that you're like, I'm just trying to figure out how to do this without being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what you meant by that. I was like, what do you mean by that? But now I realize it means like, how can you do this thing that you love without like it rocking you emotionally all the time? Because that is not a healthy way to live life.
No.
And I was going through that because I'm like, I really was really down. Like my ego was down. I was like, oh God, especially because like they like Migo and they replaced me with another Japanese writer. And I'm like, I'm just like, I'm just like a diversity hire. I'm just like a checkbox.
Right.
And like that really hurts your ego.
Shit.
It's like, God, like you work so hard and you're just like, everybody was right. I'm just a fucking Asian guy. Like they just need an Asian guy.
Right.
And that's not a good place to be, because you always want to believe that you got the job or you got opportunities because of your talent and stuff. Right. And, if I asked them point blank, they'd be like, no, we hired you, whatever. But it's like, I don't know. When I left a couple months after me, they also let go of like a black woman and they replaced her with another black woman. So it's like, and she was great. She was great.
Sure.
So, but it's just like, I went through this whole thing of like, this is what we are to white executives.
Yes.
Like you can say whatever the fuck you want. They can say whatever the fuck you want, but at the end of the day, look at the actions. Like you replaced me with another Asian guy, you're replacing her with another black woman. Like this is what it is, and you can be bitter about that, or you can just sort of take it for what it is. You can do whatever you want with that information, but that is what it is.
Right.
I saw it.
Yeah.
It was disgusting.
Wow.
I saw it. You know? And so that really moved me. I was like, but then like I did a lot of work into like, okay, just because I'm not getting paid to write for television in the moment doesn't mean it doesn't mean that I can't still write, and it doesn't mean that I can't call myself a writer, right? I listened to a lot of interviews from like of famous writers talking about their process, and they were like, like what makes you a writer, like your favorite thing about writing is the easiest thing. You can just start writing right now. You write whatever the fuck you want to write. And you're a writer. That's all it is. Like I'm a stand-up because I do it, not because I've been on TV, You know, just I could never be on TV ever again. I would still call myself a comic because I do it every day.
Right.
And I write stuff and I put stuff out there. So like, it's simple. This is what I realized. It's really simple to do comedy. You just do it. You just do the thing that you like. And if you live like a more value-based life than a goal-based life, like if your value is like, I would like to write 2 pilots this year about something that I'm really passionate about. Yeah. That is something you can control. Yes. Right? Because I'm not saying that you have to sell that. I'm not saying it has to get made. I'm just saying you have to do it. So you can do that. You can make it, and if you don't do it, that's on you because you didn't make the time to do it, right? Right. But so that's a value-based sort of approach. And a goal-based thing is like accomplishments. I want 2 jobs this year.
Right. Yeah. I need to be on TV.
Really,
right.
Yeah. That's not really up to you. So like, so what if you don't get it? You're a failure. Yeah. Like that's crazy, right? But a lot of people do live like that. And my entire 20s, I live like that. I think I approached this podcast like that, where it was like,
I want to reach this number. I want to get this.
You saw how crazy we got. Like it was miserable sometimes. But it's like I didn't even want to. You know, that's not the way I approach Cash Cuties anymore. You know, it's like I just want to like be funny. Yeah. And I've written like multiple bits from the podcast. I've just said funny things on the podcast, and I'm
then
like,
you take that, and then you turn it into a bit.
I have a bit about spanking. it's so stupid. That got like 7 million views. I got like 20,000 new followers. Like that's literally the reason why I'm able to sell out tickets now. Right. Literally the reason, because I said something funny on a podcast and I turned it into a bit. So
that's a cornerstone of who you are now.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I cannot say that just because we're not making Joe Rogan numbers that this podcast is a failure. I can't say that. Right. So I try to live more like that. So that's how I'm doing it.
Wow, dude. Fuck. I didn't know.
Growth, bro.
I wasn't prepared for fucking healed Fumi.
Bro.
Healed Fumi? We haven't talked about fleshlights once this whole time.
Bro.
These numbers, we might even get listeners because of this shit.
Oh my God.
But you're dropping wisdom on me.
I'm still horny as hell, you know?
There you go.
But I'm healed. I'm healed and horny.
But now you're value-based horny. You know what I'm saying? I'm horny for myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to score this many times, get with this many threesomes. No, it's all about my pleasure, you know, and their pleasure. And like, what happened? Wow.
You know, I feel like, and to be honest, I think secretly this is what's sort of, I think this might be true for you, but I feel like this is why secretly I've been doing comedy or like chasing a passion all along, because I think when you just work a regular job, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of times because of the security, you're never really challenged in that way, right? Yeah. Like obviously I have friends who got let go at Google, but guess what? You have Google on your resume. You are going to be fine. Yeah. Find another job. Jenny's going to be fine. I know she got let go, but she's smart as hell. She's going to be fine, right? But I feel like when you are trying to like do comedy or the arts, like a lot of it, you are an entrepreneur. You have to make things happen for yourself. Yeah. And so when you lose an opportunity, you do really feel like I'm so fucked and I'm not fine. And those are the moments when you are like, who are you? Yeah. Who are you outside of your job? Who are you outside of your company? You like really have to sit down with that and you grow as a person. So like, and I've had little moments like that throughout comedy. You know, when you fail, when you bomb, when you embarrass yourself, those are the moments where you're like, oh, like this is really who I am. This is how I feel, you know? So in a way, like, and it was painful to go through, but like, I'm glad I'm like going through these things because I feel like I am growing as an adult and I have like just better, wiser perspectives about things. Whereas if I really just worked in advertising forever, I would just be in like autopilot mode, you know?
You're not like sure, like what do I stand for?
Yeah, exactly. And especially also because I don't have kids either. I think when you also have kids, that changes
forces
that
you
rocks
to be like,
your world.
This is my priorities.
Of
like
course,
these are.
I'm sure you can confidently say that you're not the same.
Pre post
Neil, right?
Absolutely.
So like, so I think all in all, at least chill.
Whoa! Look at that.
Yeah.
Damn. I last time you were here, what was it, a month ago or something?
Yeah, that's not when you did my podcast.
No,
though.
I didn't.
You did it like over the winter.
Yeah, I did it a while ago. But you were here like last month or the month before or something, and I really wanted to see you because I was sort of like, okay, it's interesting because now I'm like you, like in the sense that like I manage this podcast and I have to do all the shit or whatever the fuck, run all that shit, and I do it terribly. But like I see now the stress, why you were so stressed, because you're so much closer when you're producing it to the outcomes. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously I could have always seen the numbers as it's going along, but I'm like really, I'm working with the editor. I'm gonna have to put down on social media and I have to like plan out, you know, what's going to go on for the next couple of weeks. I had this very kind of unsettling thing where I was like, okay, I was booking out September, and then I accidentally clicked forward into like November and December, and I didn't have any guests yet, and I was like, oh, this goes on forever. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? Did you ever have that? Like when you were like, oh shit, this goes on forever and ever and ever, you know, like if you wanted to, or if you wanted to. And I think, you know, to your point about values or whatever, like I just didn't feel like tethered to anything. You know what I'm saying? You know, I wasn't getting up that much, so I didn't feel like a comedian. You know, I wouldn't say that I had imposter syndrome, because I feel like I do what I do, but I was like, if I'm not doing stand up and I can spend X amount of time on the podcast, and if it's, you know, not reaching certain goals I want, what does that mean for me? Am I just, and when with Neo too, it's like, every time I am not hanging out with him, it had better be worth it, you know? And if I didn't feel it was worth it, like, what is it, you know, like I was unmoored. Like I didn't know what am I doing? And I think for a while, I did comedy just because I wanted to be funny. And like, I'm funny enough now, you know, like that's fine. You know, I have the skills, like that's fine. But now it's like, well, now what do I do with that? Because you know, am I supposed to go on the road? Am I, you know, I can't do that. You know, am I supposed to put an album? I guess I could do that. Yeah. And, you know, I was talking to you, and you were telling me the cold cash cuties thing about like, oh, well, I just do it because I don't look at the numbers, and like, we just have a good time, and I come out with a bit, and that's okay. And then you were doing this really interesting thing. And this is why I always liked you, is like down through and through, you're like an artist. And so you were like, I want to just have an hour of material, you know? And I felt that was just like, it was you were under control. You controlled that. Yeah. You know, you could push that forward, and it spoke to your values as far as like, I just want to be good at this thing. And that was like very clear. And whether or not, like, you know, not necessarily for me, but I liked that was like, it's clear what you want, you know? And I've been trying to like work through that, you know, myself. Am I, you know, like, am I a podcaster? Am I just the producer? Should I just become like a dad or whatever? You know, it's it's a weird thing, you know, and
sure. I mean, I think you're in a tough spot because this podcast has, I mean, is it like 5 years now? Like, so like, it's, Cash Cuties is still like newer and exciting to me. And just like it was in 2018. Right. I just remember how excited we were about this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Just watch the numbers go up and stuff back in the day because we just had nothing. But yeah, I think it's really just about like what drives you. Yeah. And you can just do that. And then other shit follows. Like, I think when you put out good work, like it will happen, you know? And it has. Like, you have to, I know that like every time you post something, you look at the numbers and you're like, oh, this did shit. Like, I don't even give a fuck about that. I'll leave my video up if it only got 5,000 views. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, if I liked it, I wanted to share it. And I also, just to say, like, to like hone in a point about how like, there's nothing that I do that's like pointless, because even if I like post a clip and it only gets 10,000 views, right? Yeah. I still get hit up to get booked for shows because someone just saw it.
Because somebody saw it.
So it wasn't a waste. So like, I always try to think of like, there's just so many different ways of looking at stuff. And as long as like you want to, like, the important thing is like you do something and you wanted to share it with the world. That's really what it is, you know? So, you know, whether it's, you know, if you want to move into a more producer position for this podcast, right? If you want Jenny to host it with somebody else, you know, maybe that means you invest some money. And that's the other thing too. Like we had a hard time believing in ourselves for a long time. And we never like, we have, you know, you have this like thriving Patreon, but like we never really like, you know, I think our goal for a long time was like, I want an office and I want to like, you know, if you did do that, I guarantee you your YouTube views will go up because it's a better viewing experience. I found that, you know, like the couple times that like, you know, I have a nice camera now, and like my apartment looks really nice. Whenever we do it in my apartment, the numbers go up, and it's not a studio,
nicer to look at, because
it's just, you got to remember, like, YouTube is a visual thing, right? So like, those are things that like we never really did or considered as like investing in yourself, because it makes you happy and you have a job, so you have some leftover money, or like you have the money from the podcast, you know, right. So if that's the thing that's like, if that makes you happy or if that excites you, like, oh, I want to take Asian Nation to the next level. I think that would make me happy if I could do that, you know. And then you move into a producer when you get a studio for whatever you want to do. like things like that. Even if it doesn't work, I think you'll still get like a ton of satisfaction out of it. And that'll make you a better dad.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I don't know if you've ever had this feeling before. I'm going to share a little thing that happened to me when I was in my late 20s and I was just about to move to New York. I had this stretch of a couple months where I would have what I learned are called racing thoughts. And if you know what that's like, it's basically like you have like a thought, like some sort of anxiety driven thought where you feel, something terrible is going to happen, or maybe you just are worried about something, and it would lead to the next thought. It would also be very anxiety driven, and it would lead to another thought and lead to another one, another one. And you felt like you were almost like watching a movie, but like a scary movie of your own life. And it was something you just couldn't stop. And it was really, it got really to the point where I couldn't function sometimes. And if you've never had that, I hope you don't. But if you have had racing thoughts, it turns out one great way to make racing thoughts go away is to talk through them. Therapy gives you a place to do that. So you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace. The therapy I did really helped me put a stop to the racing thoughts I had at the time. And I use what I learned in therapy to this day whenever I feel my thoughts are starting to get away from me and affect my life. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Asian today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Asian. Lately, I've been driving around in my car in New York, and what a lot of people do in New York City is they're crazy. What they'll do is they'll double park their car when they want to run into the store, car on and everything, keys in the car and everything, and they'll just walk into the store. Why would you do that, right? I mean, it's probably fine, but what if you come back and someone drives off in your car? Well, that's exactly what you're doing when you're using the internet without ExpressVPN. Every time you connect to an unencrypted network at a hotel or an airport or something, any hacker on the same network can gain access to your personal data. All a hacker needs is a little time and some cheap hardware, and they can do it. Don't be a victim. ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet, so hackers can't steal your sensitive data. It's super duper secure and would take a hacker 1 billion years to get through ExpressVPN's encryption. And finally, it's easy to use. You just click one button and you get protection. It works on all your devices, phones, laptops, tablets, so you can stay secure on the go. I use ExpressVPN on my phone. What I like most about it is it's so easy. It's literally one button. I installed it in 2 minutes and I can turn it on in 2 nanoseconds. I use ExpressVPN because it's important for me to keep what I do private. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/Asian. That's expressvpn.com/Asian. And you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/Asian. That's the main thing. I was like, I just want to go home and hang out with my son all the time. Yeah. I'm just trying to think.
But I mean, the fact that you still do stand up, because I think if you were just a hobbyist, you would quit by now.
That's very true.
Everybody has quit, bro. Yes. Everybody has quit over the pandemic. So I don't think you can just say that you're a hobbyist because you're not.
Right. It's really not. It's really lodged in me.
Yeah.
You know
it's just sort of who you are. No matter what happens, it's just part of who you are. So you just have to accept that and then figure out a fun way to keep going.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah.
I think it was nice being out and seeing. Last month or whatever when you were here, I saw you and Brian and Young Me and I think Brian Yang was there and Julia was there, and it was nice to just have that the community, whatever, we throw that word around, but it was real. I was oh, this is nice to have your peers, and also that everyone is also kind of feeling the same as me. It's well, fuck, we're what do we do now? It's what do we do with our careers and what do we value and that kind of thing. And it's nice to commiserate with other people who are came up with you and are going through kind of what you're going through. Shit, what was I going to say about that too?
I mean, you're never alone. Everybody is no matter what level you're at, you're going to feel the thing that you're feeling. And so, but your job is to as you get older, your job is to like figure out how you can combat that so you don't get sad and depressed every time, because otherwise you're gonna be a bad dad. Okay.
God, that's so true. Man, you really know how to like get through to a guy.
You gotta teach your kids how to deal with the bad moments, and you can't do that if you don't know how to do it. You know, I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
Absolutely.
You know, and you're older than me, so I think you know how to do it better than I do. But like, yeah, with this again, you're chasing a passion. It's hard. You're putting your heart on your sleeve every day. It's hard.
Yeah. I that's what I remember too. Like yesterday we had you had on your show Roy Wood Jr.
Yes.
And all these other amazing comedians. And sometimes I felt I was like, oh, like stand up is like, you know, so limited in so many ways. Like you got to be like, no, what's up with traffic signs? You know, but to like listen to all these other comedians like talk about all these really complicated things, I was like, oh, you could do more things than I thought you could do.
Yeah.
I don't know where that idea got into my mind. I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know if it's like from being online and like, it's always there's certain kind of bits online that like get a lot of views and it's very short, right? It's like a 30-second to maybe a minute or 90 seconds, but to like really like watch like a really good master do this.
His thing just felt like one 15-minute joke.
Right, exactly.
But it wasn't. It was divided. But the transitions, how he went from, God, I remember he was talking about bad customer service at gun stores.
Oh, yes.
And how that's bad because if there's like a gunman in a bad mood, he might shoot up the place.
Right.
He went from that. So now there's the theme of customer service, and he took that to women have, what store has the best customer service? Sephora.
Yeah.
So there's a joke on that world.
Yeah.
And then what do men have? Foot Locker. Right? So that was like 10 minutes, you know? And
then he talked about being a dad. Being
and being an old person at Foot Locker.
Right, exactly.
You know, when a young person makes you feel old. You know, all this shit. Yeah.
So it was just like nice to experience all of that, I guess. You know, it was I don't know, and I came back home last night, and obviously I was if you're only as good as your last set, I'm pretty good because I had a good set, and I came home and I was like, that was really nice. And that was like pretty much the opposite of my usual quote unquote comedy experience, which is sitting at my desk on my phone editing something. Because like that's where all my clips are now. It's like I edit it on my phone.
Your phone.
I don't even do it on Premiere.
Whoa.
Because not because Premiere isn't good. Premiere is great, but it's like already there, and like I'm just like putting it all together. And there's like apps that are pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But I'm just like sitting there and I'm like tweaking it, and I like put it out there, and then I have to kind of wait to see what happens to it, and then I'm just like always checking it, and like any day you check Instagram is a bad day, I will say.
God.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
you can't do that.
It was just like, I went out and I did this show and I did your thing and I hung out with you and hung out with my friends, and I was like, oh, that was good. That was really fun.
And if that's what makes you happy and that's what gets you going, like, you know, you were clearly inspired by these other comedians. Absolutely. You know, so like just try to do more of that, you know?
Fuck you. Okay, there you go. I just had to get a little toxic. In here. So like, yeah, so LA, it sounds like, you know, you've been growing and stuff like that. Do you got any like, because I used to try to tell you about what being an LA Asian is like, and now you're going to Little Saigon. It's impossible to know until you
saw.
You know,
it's impossible. Yeah, LA is like, it's so interesting. I mean, it's very suburban in certain ways. I still don't know where LA County ends and Orange County begins. I know. You know, it's just all sort of like... It's kind of
weird. I always think of it... This is not quite true, but like where the 91 is. The 91 freeway. 91. So the 91, it goes east to west, and it cuts all the way across, all the way to Long Beach.
Okay.
So I would say that I always mentally, for me, that was like the transition line. Above the 91 is LA. Below the 91 is Orange County. But that's not quite true. It's
interesting because like in the beginning... First of all... There's so many fucking Asian people.
So many Asian people.
And it's so funny because there's like little like strip malls that are just for Asian people.
Yeah.
You got a little Mitsuwa, you got a little H Mart, then you have like a bubble tea thing. It's so funny because you go to these things and there's always one dessert spot that has an insane line. And they're all like Korean high schoolers.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like cool to see that. But then like in the beginning I was getting like emotional because I get emotional when I see Asian representation. But I really do. But then I was like, oh wait, no. This has been people have been doing. You were doing this.
Right.
So I'm like, in this neighborhood, this is just the way
it is.
That's
just how it is.
Yeah. So it's kind of, but I mean, like, yeah, there are a lot of Asians. It is cool, but because there's a lot, I guess there's like less of a camaraderie, I guess, because it's like, I feel like in New York, it's like, oh, you're Asian, let's be friends.
Yes.
You know, but over there, it's like, I don't care.
Yeah,
you know, it's like
yeah.
everybody's Asian here. I don't, you know, like I do shows in Irvine sometimes.
Here we
Shout
go.
out to the Spectrum Center.
Yes.
Great mall.
Oh, you do that? You do the improv there?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, I help for people there.
That's so fun, dude. That's so crazy because like that the Spectrum is a big outdoor entertainment mall district thingy.
Great mall.
It's great, and have gigantic IMAX. And I remember when it was made. It was like they finished it like at the end of my high school years, and there was the improv there. I never went to it, but I was like, oh, there's a comedy club. That should be cool. And here you are going to it.
I know.
You know?
I'm headlining there.
That's crazy.
In January.
Whoa.
I know. It's crazy. Just one night. We'll see if I can sell any tickets. But
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like you just go to these little. Just I don't know. It is like. I guess if you just grew up, living there helps me understand why you are the way you are.
Interesting.
And other people from your area. It's just like, just a lot of things that, especially when we first started the podcast, a lot of things that I would be like, whoa, you'd be like, yeah, so what? Yeah, it's like, I already knew about this, you know? Yeah.
Whoa.
So it is nice.
That's cool. So, but like, I feel you're here in New York a lot. It's like, cause it's like, here it always feels to me like when you come here, you're like, I can almost feel you're going, you know, like I'm in New York now.
Yeah,
you know?
well, you know, I was here from 18 to 31, so I like became an adult here.
Right.
All my friends are here, and that's other things. Like I don't have like a ton of super close friends in LA.
Right.
Which is it's fine. It's a mix of like me moving to a new city and just me being old. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, you can't really make friends when you're in your 30s. So it is nice when I come back. I have like a ton of people I can hit up to get lunch that I'm genuinely excited to see and catch up. And you know, part of it is also just like I don't want people here to forget who I am. So I come back for that because
that's
I'm
such
sure
an interesting point.
Because it's been 2 years since I've left, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know like the clubs and stuff. I know the bookers and some of the bigger shows I know, but some of these like poppin' new indie shows, I don't know them. I don't know.
It's not just you. I mean, it's not just because of you moving away. Like there's like a you know, with the pandemic, there's like it one day when they dig all of our skeletons up, like, you know, paleontologists, they're gonna look at like the geographic record, and there's gonna be like stuff happening before 2020. Then there's like I'm talking about like if you could somehow do this with the comedy scene. Yeah. Then there's a break. Yeah. Of like craziness, and then there's like post 2021.
That was like the Big Bang.
Absolutely.
You know when dinosaurs went extinct?
Yes.
That was like the meteors.
You're like mixing all your metaphors.
Yeah,
but yes, yeah. Scientifically speaking, it's not.
You're right. Big Bang, that's not even.
No, but but exactly. It was like an asteroid happened,
the asteroid
right?
is what I meant. Yeah.
And I mean, like, so that they'll always be like, oh, have you been to the fucking
Mesopotamian comic strip era?
yeah, exactly. And there's all these new shows that are happening, and it's run by Dylan Aram Marifat, and it's okay, who's that? And he's 22, and you know, and it's got all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't know who any of this shit is either. You know what I'm saying?
So part of my goal is to like make sure like I'm trying to stay relevant, I guess. So yeah, that's like. I hope that doesn't sound too like businessy, but it's more just like, of course, New York. Like this is my home scene. It's very important to me. So it's very important to me that I come back and like, don't you fucking forget. Don't you fucking forget. Canal Street Market, Hack City. Don't you fucking forget.
You're like the mafia guy who comes back and is like, oh, hey, remember me?
The big boss.
I own this town. I used to own this town. And you like, I don't know, kill some TikToker.
Oh God, I wish I could.
Yeah.
God, they're so annoying.
What's it? Yeah. Versus like, I guess we could talk about that. I want to talk about it just a little bit. Like, you know, versus the LA scene, which is very, it seems to me when people who are from another scene, they go to LA and then they come to New York, or they, you know, go back to their home scene. You know, everybody has like an opinion about it, like what it's like there. And I've done a few shows there, and I got a sense of it, and I was like, oh, there are like hot comedian Instagram types who are like always like the headliner of the show, and I'm like, that's cool, you know, that's fine. So I didn't know how true it was until I was there.
Yes, I mean, I think now people don't say this as much. By the way, it's so funny because there's always been like a New York LA rivalry for comedy. But no one in LA is talking about New York. No. Like, this is a one-sided rivalry.
No, absolutely.
New York is like, fuck LA, they suck.
You,
LA comics
so
suck. LA comics are like, oh yeah, New York comics are funny. We're funny. Like, they don't give a fuck because it's nice out there. I will say, like, you know, there are a lot of, here's the thing. There's a lot of very funny comedians in LA. And a lot. People who will blow your mind. A lot of them are like the Comedy Store and the Improv, and these are like the comedy sellers of LA.
Yeah,
so
sure.
if you go there, you will see great comedy. Sometimes you'll see maybe like an influencer type, but they're, I'm talking about like a Trevor Wallace type.
Yeah.
He's a YouTube dude, but he's extremely funny at stand-up. He's been doing it a long time. He's got a special coming out. Like, so these are people who like earn their sort of positions. So, that said, like, I guess like in the indie bar show scene, there are more people who are like more, I'm an actor or whatever like that. But luckily, like the comedians that I try to surround myself with, or the shows that I'm getting booked on, like it's more serious people. So, like, I don't know. As I get older, I'm also trying not to like be a hater, like, because I'm tired, and I really think anything goes. And so, like, I know that it's hard sometimes to look at somebody blowing up, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Yes. You know what I mean? But I'm also like, going to LA, I'm just trying to be open-minded. It is a different type of stand-up. I remember when he had Fahim on. He said one of the reasons why it's, more act out in LA is because the stage is bigger. Yeah. So there's logistically, and the improv stage is like, it's like a high school theater. It's huge.
Oh, it's huge.
It's huge. And main stage, Comedy Store, same thing. It's huge.
Oh, wow.
Comedy Cellar is like a box.
No, literally. It's a tiny
even
little
as an audience
square.
member, like your table's like this
right
big.
There, right there. Yeah.
So you just, and that it's interesting. It's sort of like, Darwinism, you just sort of adapt your environment.
Yeah,
so we're like
grow another fin.
We're like
or
the birds that are like, we're like real dainty and like really nimble because we have no space.
Oh, shit.
But the birds in LA are like, they got more room, so they got these like really fancy wings. They can, what I'm saying? Just different, dude. Hummingbird versus eagle, just like different. Just different. Like they're both cool, but we're like flapping 60 flaps per second. 60 jokes per second.
They're just cruising with the one big flap.
Yeah, one big flap,
and they look beautiful.
They're majestic.
Wow.
It's just, so like you really do see that. When he said that, I was like, that's a really smart observation.
I never thought about that.
Because never in New York do you have that much space unless you are doing like Beacon.
Sure.
Which you have.
I have.
And I've seen your video.
And I was very standing in one corner.
Because you're used to the box. Your box comedy.
What do I do?
Your box comedy.
I was like, I was in the box. I was like Hummingbird. I wasn't ready for the big, desert or whatever the fuck that eagles are at. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow, look at you. See, so not only are you healed, you're now using way more scientific analogies.
Yeah.
So this is like a different Fumi. I do want to, so to get more guy talk, which is hilarious because we're like the least guys in the whole world.
Yeah.
How's your car?
My Prius?
Yeah.
Fucking love.
You have a Prius now? Did you switch your car?
I sold it.
Oh.
I sold my Honda.
Yes.
Because, a lot of people gave me shit because the Honda Fit, I didn't know this, has like a subreddit fan base or something.
Really?
Like people really like the Honda Fit.
Okay.
I felt that it was too weak for LA because it's too hilly. So if you go to like Silver Lake and stuff, I'm literally flooring it going 10 miles, and it just kind of felt dangerous. Also, like I'm just like, I really care about miles per gallon.
Yeah, sure.
I see it, and if you do the math, it was cheaper for me to keep the Honda Fit. It was cheaper, but I just hated filling up once a week.
Going there and like having to do it. It didn't have good gas mileage? I guess not as good as a Prius.
It was a 2010, and because again it's hilly in LA, and there's so many fucking stop signs.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas a hybrid thrives on stop signs.
Right, because you're stopping.
It charges every time you brake.
Oh.
So it's an inverse. You know what I mean? So I got the Prius. This is after I lost my job, but I was like, this is gonna make another value-based thing. I was like, this is gonna make me happy. I know there's a whole emotion. See, there's an emotional element to money, and it doesn't make sense financially, but this makes me happy.
Yes.
A Prius makes me happy. It doesn't take much. So I sold my Honda Fit. I got the Prius, and I'm gonna pimp it out.
What does that mean? How
I'm gonna get rims.
You're really gonna get rims?
There's a German brand called like BBS or something.
Okay.
BSS or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get rims. I'm gonna lower it.
Are you serious? I can't fucking tell.
No, I'm being dead serious. I told Maria the second I get my next writing job, the first thing I'm gonna buy the rims, and then I want to get steering wheels. I want to get Toyota steering wheels that they have for their rally racing.
Where it's like red, with the red trim.
Yeah, bro. So have I grown? I don't know.
No, I realize you've not grown at all. You've just become me.
No, I just think it's funny. I think it's funny to pimp out a Prius.
You're really gonna lower it?
I don't know about the lowering.
I'm not gonna hate on that.
Actually, you know what? I may not. I might hire it. Because the thing about LA, I know because
of the stop.
You scrape a lot, right?
That's why you gotta hit it at an angle. You see people.
Yeah. So like My Prius is okay because my suspension's pretty good, but the Honda was bad.
Year? Yeah.
It's a 2015.
The Prius 2015.
But bro, I mean, I get like 53 miles per year. It's crazy.
Oh, shit.
It's wild, bro. And I drive so much for comedy. I do a lot of shows in like Huntington Beach.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
If I'm opening for somebody at the Spectrum Center every weekend, I'm going back. That's 80 miles.
Yeah,
every time.
yeah, that's
80
a long
miles
time.
back and forth, right? So like, overall, the Prius has been worth it for me. But it makes me happy. And you know, it's interesting. In New York, nobody has a car, right?
Right.
So your clothes is sort of how you show off express who you are and stuff.
Yes.
And LA, there's, definitely fashion is a thing, but
Your car
is another way to express who you are.
Right. And I think I've told you this story, but in LA too, valet parking is much more of a thing, and sometimes it's just completely worth it to just valet a car, right? It's just for the time, and it's not sometimes even that expensive. Yeah. But like, you got to pull up to the very front. Everybody's standing there. You can't be getting out of some like minivan or whatever the fuck it is. And try to look cool. Even if you have the coolest outfit, if you got out of like a Dodge Caravan, people be like, "This is whack." You're never getting late.
No one's gonna listen to your pitch.
Exactly. So yeah.
Dumbfounded was talking about that. He had a Civic forever,
right?
And then, even when he was kind of successful, he had a Civic, and his manager asked him to get a better car because it's like hurting his business.
Whoa!
So he has a Tesla now.
Oh shit! Yeah.
But that's why I want to pimp it out, because then it's like, I got money.
Yeah.
Because these rims are more expensive than the car itself.
You know what though? This is what I love is you're doing again the value thing, where it's like not just about like a quote unquote nice car, but it's like, this is my car.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You're making it your own.
Yeah. And I really get off on. I think it's tacky to buy like just an expensive car. I really like taking something that's considered basic and making it better by replacing the parts or doing something cool to it. I love that. So like a car that I really want, I love like a 92 Volkswagen Golf, the MK2. I love it. It's just It was honestly the Honda Civic of Europe for a long time.
Right, sure.
But like, it's just a very beautiful car, and you can like kind of do fun things to it. And so like, I like cars like that.
I remember now, because you used to tell me how you would customize your lacrosse sticks.
Yes.
This is the same boy.
It's the same thing.
That lacrosse stick was your Honda Civic or whatever. Yeah. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to change out this net, or I don't know what you could do.
I just think it's lame to just buy like a brand new Porsche
thing. Yeah.
Or like, if you're going to buy a Porsche, like make it a cool like vintage one or something.
Yeah. Put a little
Did I tell you that when I opened for Ronnie in Irvine, like, this is the other thing with having a nice car. When you pull up, like, everybody sees what kind of car you got. Yeah. So I park in my Prius, and it was me and Andrea Jen. So we were like opening for him. So we like get out, and then Ronnie, there's like I hear like a loud ass car, and Ronnie and his wife roll up in a fucking Porsche, like windows down. Ronnie's wife has like a scarf on her head for some reason. Like, they look super cool. And I was like, oh, like, you're flexing on me. Like, this is all part of. I mean, this is why people have nice cars in LA, because like it's all sort of part of the game, you know?
No, I mean, and Ronnie's a very smart person. I wouldn't be surprised if he just like rented it for the day.
But he's so Chinese in that way, where the first thing he said when he got off the car, he's like, oh, I got a really good deal on this. Yeah. He goes, this is the 2001 model that nobody wants, and so it's cheaper. That's the first thing he said. I'm like, bro, it's okay.
That is very Ronnie.
You're
also
wealthy, it's fine.
Yeah, he shows you how much money he saved.
Yeah.
And he actually puts it in the window. It's like, this is his mod.
He has his price tag on still.
Yeah, exactly. Never takes it off. It's all on there. People are always asking how much it costs. That's crazy. Yeah. All right, so I'm glad. I want to see. Just last question, follow up question. How big rims are we thinking?
I still want to keep it like the same size.
Oh, interesting.
I don't want to increase the size of the wheel.
Okay.
Because the size of the wheel and stuff all contributes to the fuel economy.
Whoa!
So I want to make sure the fuel economy stays the same. I think nice rims are a little bit heavier, so it might go down a little bit, heavier, which I can handle for the looks, Yeah. But I want to keep it like the same.
It would be kind of fire though if like your modding was to make the car, because a lot of cars, race cars, they try to make things light. So for speed, but for you could do it for miles per gallon. And it's like, I need this carbon fiber gear shifter.
It's because I get 70 miles per gallon.
Yeah, exactly. Everything. I've saved 15 grams on this. And now
by the way,
I
have a Prius C, so it's like looks cooler than the regular Prius.
Okay, I believe you. Hey, you don't have to tell me.
I want to replace the lights. I want those lights where like when you turn on the blinker, it goes like this. You know what I'm talking about?
Like it's like sweeps back and forth.
Yeah, sweeps back and forth. Yeah.
You are, oh my God. And you're eating
I follow this Vietnamese YouTuber who's like who's really into cars.
Yes.
But he plays a character, and every time he does an upgrade, he goes, "Duma." It's so funny, dude. It's so I think I know who you're talking about. Funny, dude.
You know what's funny is because for a while you still had the Asian Not Asian YouTube, and so when I would go there to like upload a video, like all the videos were all either comedy podcasts that you were, I guess, watching or checking out.
Yeah.
And then should I buy this car? Like car YouTube influencers.
Oh yeah.
It was only that.
Yeah. Well, because I was doing a lot of research.
See, this is good. Okay, so Jenny will take off with her talking about, feelings and energy and Sagittariuses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you and I, Asian car talk from two guys who don't know shit about cars.
I love it. I love it. I love talking cars with guys, dude.
Well, let me tell you something. I can't remember if this was my, what kind of Asian were you this week, but I had my friend was out of town for like, he had another baby. And so him and his family, they, he had another parental leave. So he went back, he's from the UK. So he went back to the UK for like 6 weeks. So I had a car for 6 weeks.
In New York.
Whoa. So I had his car and it's like a Nissan SUV.
Okay.
I don't know what year
Murano?
it is.
Those are big.
It might be a Murano. It wasn't that big. It was like I don't know what you call a standard size SUV.
Okay.
And I remember the first day that I got it, I like dropped him and his family off at the airport. And this is very quick aside. This was very crazy, but it took us a long time to unload because he had so much shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he has 2 kids. One of them was out and the other one was like fell asleep and was inside the car still. And we were standing there and we were like trying to figure some shit out. We were there a long time, like 10 minutes. Okay. And we had to like turn the car off. And while we were standing there, a tow truck backs up and starts towing the car away. He like latched onto the car within like a minute and started driving away. My friend runs up to the car and is like, "There's a baby in there."
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god.
The guy like drops the thing and like, leaves, but I'm like, "Oh, that was fast as fuck." He didn't get out of the car. He just like backed the winch up and just like picked up the car and started driving it away.
That's insane.
But I had that car and the first night I got it, it took me a while to find parking in my neighborhood and I was like, "This is going to suck, man. I can't believe now I got to deal with this car for 6 weeks and I got to deal with alternate side parking and all this other shit. Yeah. And I'm probably gonna get a scratch on it or something like that." And but after I parked that night and it was like whatever. And basically every single day that I had it since was better and better. Like I went to H Mart so many times.
To K-Town? There's one in Long Island.
There's one in Long Island City.
I know. Yeah.
I went
they got great meats.
So many meats. I got so much shit. I got I should give you one. I got a whole bunch of fish ice creams. I can give you one later.
With the red bean inside?
Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah, yo, bro. We went to Flushing a bunch of times. We would just it got to the point where,
isn't it fun?
Dude, I mean, it got to the point where it would be like, there's like a place like 2 blocks away and my wife would be like, "Should we just drive there?" And let me tell you, I mean, especially with a child.
Yeah.
Because then if you have a kid and you have to take a car, you got to like strap him into you can do it with the car seat, but it's another thing. And then when you get out of the Uber, you have to deal with the car seat, which you got to carry that shit around.
Yeah.
So if you have a car, you can just like you can leave the car seat in there, throw him in there, drive to the fucking thing. I had it for like 6 weeks. I had, my friend came back, I gave it back to him. And the next day, my wife and I, we just go to the Soho. We just like, took the subway and we took Neo and we were in Soho. We're doing our thing. We weren't even out that long. We come back, we take the subway and bring him home. And I was so fucking tired.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
How did I do this without the car? How did I ever do this? And I did this for years, but
yeah, I feel like,
fuck this.
I feel like New Yorkers, we always like shit on cars.
Yeah.
But it would be so nice to have one.
So I've been thinking about getting a car too.
I think you should. And I'll help you get one.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I love cars, dude. Talk to me.
Do you? Okay, the cars I'm thinking about getting. Okay, so right about now, this is where we're
thinking you should
losing
get a mini SUV.
A mini SUV?
Like a Subaru Crosstrek size.
So I was thinking the 3 that I'm looking at. I'm so glad you're here. Jenny would never want to talk about that.
Jenny tuned out already.
Yeah, no, Jenny
skipped this episode.
Jenny would be like, "Well, what is this car? What is it? I don't know. Like,
what month was it made?
Yeah, exactly.
What's
It's
a Scorpio?
Was it a Scorpio rising sign?
Yeah.
She's gonna make fun of me later. She's gonna be like, "That's not what I talk about." So it's a Crosstrek. The Outback.
Yeah, Outback's dope. My dad has Outback.
Love the Outback. Yeah. And I've realized that I am, I am who I am, and I think there's something very powerful about owning who you are.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, I don't know, like, I feel like in the 90s and even like in the 2000s, people were like sort of ashamed of being a dad. Like it was emasculating to drive like a minivan or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I've always thought like, yo, I'm proud of like, being a dad. It's a lot of responsibility and like I have to take care of my family. And let me tell you, like the shit my shit is real shit. Like fuckboy shit is nothing. Like that's you do that for yourself. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing some real shit. If I don't make money, my son is hungry.
Yeah.
If you don't make money, nothing happens to you. You can't get sneakers or some shit. Who gives a fuck about that? So like that's some real shit. And so I would if they had station wagons now, I would drive a station wagon.
Yeah.
I would be, and also minivans. People don't talk about this. Minivans are fucking expensive. They're really fancy.
Yes.
And so Outback, I think would be fire. If I had to drive up to like a Hollywood premiere in the Outback, I'd be like, yo.
Dude,
Outback.
absolutely.
This is fire as fuck.
Yeah, I think somebody was telling me that there's a decline in sales in minivans.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because people were loving the SUVs. And
so
some
good,
SUVs
man.
have 3 rows of seats.
Oh, dude.
Like maybe the Highlander, the Sequoia
Highlander.
or something. It's got 3 rows.
So let me tell you something. So the car I really want, is a 4Runner, the Toyota 4Runner.
Okay,
and
those are cool.
Yeah, and even like an older one, like the latest.
I think the older ones look cooler.
The older ones do look cool. The latest generation is the one I would probably still get, but it's like so. For the 4 listeners we have left, SUVs, they're built on 2 platforms. There's one there's like car platform SUVs.
Yeah.
So it's the same as like a sedan, but they just made it into an SUV.
Yeah.
Or there's a truck platform SUV where it's a truck platform, and they built the SUV on top of that. So like the truck platform one is like more sturdy, right?
Sure, yeah.
You can take it like really off-roading and shit. And the 4Runner is that. So it's just like, it's not just bigger, but it's like an actually like, it's built for all this crazy shit. Totally don't need it.
Yeah.
I would 100% be overcompensating.
You should do an H-Mart, bro. You're doing an H-Mart run. You don't need a 4Runner.
I know.
It's so funny. Do you do any off-roading? Yeah. To Great Neck, Long Island.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, sometimes there's a lot of potholes here,
Yeah.
And but it's just like a cool car, right? And this will definitely put the stake in the heart for you.
Yeah.
Terrible gas mileage. It is. Yeah. I think
19.
You
know what? But okay, here's the thing: when you're choosing a car, and just to bring the listeners back to make it more relatable, you're a dad now.
Yeah.
So my sister went through this. When you are buying a car, but you have a kid, you can't just buy any car.
Yes.
Because if you were single, I'd be like, oh, get like a used, like cool 4Runner from whatever year that's cool.
Right.
But like, you probably should get like a newer car for safety reasons. Like, it's a little limited,
Right.
So you do have to think about that. And so like, if you're thinking about that, then like, yeah, like gas, it's whatever. I mean, you're not going to drive that much in New York anyways.
That's very true.
It's like, I only needed it because I'm doing so many shows in like Santa Barbara and San Diego.
Like, drive around a lot.
But if you really don't drive that much, like, yeah, it's fine. Also, like 19 for a car that big is pretty good.
What?
19 miles per gallon for a car that size.
I see what you're saying. Yes.
That shit used to be like 11.
Oh, yeah.
Highlander used to be like so bad at mileage.
So bad. Yeah.
Well, Subaru has the Boxer engine, so you have to think about that.
Do they?
Yeah, that's their whole thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Apparently, there's like some part that always like breaks at some point. But I don't know. I think those are great at Forester. Would you say? Outback, Crosstrek, or Highlander, or a
Highlander. Oh, I'm sorry, 4Runner. Yeah,
dude, get a car.
Fuck.
Then you could do the podcast in the car. You're running out of space. When Neil gets older, like you can't, bro.
I already run out of space. I mean, this is very sad.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
People. Well, here's the thing. That's another thing. Like the more you have, the more you need, right? So. People can't see if you're not watching on YouTube. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I'm in my living room. Normally, we do this in the bedroom, because Neo has to be running around in here. I had to send my kid out of the house in order to do this fucking... What a horrible father. I'm being a terrible dad.
He's traumatized right now.
He is. It's hot as fuck out there. He's like, where's dad? Dad doesn't love me.
I do want to bring up... God, I was talking to somebody about this, about how like, how you're just like, I'm proud to be a dad. I want to show off my dad energy by buying this car.
For sure.
I think there's a whole generation, like dads in this generation, because we were talking about toxic masculinity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They have this attitude. They're like good dads. Oh. There's too many good dads now. You know,
There's too many good
it's
dads.
interesting. I'm interested to see what kind of boys we're gonna raise, because there's like Nia's not gonna have any like weird daddy issues. He's gonna call you when he's in college. It's gonna be fine.
Whoa.
You know, whereas like maybe like you had some. I mean, I know you're pretty tight with your dad, but
I see what
you
you're
know
saying.
what I mean. I know your parents had some like marital. You know what I mean? Like just some issues, and maybe a lot of sons, you know, sort of despise their fathers in certain ways.
Yes.
And these kids in Brooklyn, these kids named Neo and fucking Asha or whatever the fuck. By the way, we're living in a generation where he's not gonna be the only Neo in his classroom.
Oh no, for sure.
Right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
like these, your dads are too good. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's interesting. Yeah, we're raising very stable kids. I'm wondering what that's gonna do to society. You know,
it's so true, because I've probably told him I love him like more times this week than I've ever heard from my dad.
Yeah, dude, you're messing up his jump shot. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be a bad.
I kiss him on the lips. You know what I'm saying,
bro?
Yeah, there's no way he's gonna be able to I don't know, like lead a battalion or something like that,
dude.
Or be an amazing rocket scientist.
Without
that. So maybe this is you're like helping him. Not that
I just feel like we're like, maybe this is a bit somewhere, but like I just feel like when kids argue, when Neo's gonna have an argument when he's like 12, it's just gonna be a lot of like, yep, Johnny, and I hear you and I understand that, but you know, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot.
I
of
validate
that.
your feelings.
Yeah, validate that. Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I want to give you the space. I want you to be able to feel those feelings.
Yeah. Everybody's feelings are valid.
Yes.
But you know, what you did makes me feel. You know, it's gonna be but they're talking about like, well, somebody stole a Pokemon card or some dumb shit like that. Where like back in '98.
He's like, you dumbass.
Yeah, we throw a rocket at you or something, exactly. You know?
I'm never giving you money ever again.
Yeah, a lot of screaming, you know?
I should get my mom up in here, and she's, you know, she's pretty nice.
Toxicity. Yeah.
Just like a little bit of like neglect.
Yeah, there's too much love in this house, Mike.
There is a lot of love.
I feel that with my sister too. I'm like, you guys are like too good at this. This is
where you like really care about the kid.
Really care about the kid, and like, just like, I don't know, but I also think like there's resources and stuff like that. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I know that like when I was growing up, like my mom would drop me off at my grandma's. That was the move.
Right.
And my grandma was cool, but like again, like she grew up during the war and shit, so you know. You know what I mean? Like
she's not validating shit.
She's not validating shit.
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
Like,
we didn't have rice for 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like my siblings died because we're malnourished. You
yeah,
bitch. Like,
yeah, exactly. I don't give a fuck about how you feel. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay. Final wrap up question here. Should me and Gina and Neo, should we move to LA?
I want you to.
Do you?
Because I'm there, bro. Let's hang out.
Would you?
Yeah, if you move close.
Yeah,
I could maybe sit for you guys and stuff. Maria works from home.
Okay, so you added Maria. Okay, then it's okay.
I've been thinking about that a lot. I know that in previous years, you know, you're like, oh, maybe we'll buy a house like in Westchester or like upstate.
Yeah.
You know, it's very expensive, but maybe we'll make it happen. I know Gina's brother lives there. It's good to be close to family.
Yeah.
That said, I just don't believe that this is a good environment for kids. You know, I just think you need space. So I think.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think like LA would be fun because there's a lot of space. It's a lot of space.
Yeah.
Irvine, bro. Go to Irvine. I've been trying to get Maria to move out to Irvine, dude.
You want to move to Irvine?
She hates Irvine.
Why does she hate it?
Irvine reminds me of Dublin, Ohio, which was like our rich neighborhood.
Yeah,
you know what suburb is rich
area.
when the street signs are brown? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Where it's not just green or blue
and green.
Yeah.
It's brown. I'm like, oh, your public school system has a fencing program.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, they got that shit from Pottery Barn.
Yeah.
Whoa, what a good observation.
Yeah, the brown street signs, bro.
But doesn't Irvine, I mean, this is, you know, for all of our Irvine heads out there. Irvine, it to me, if one day they were like, actually it turns out what happens is they turn everybody into a robot and then you can live there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how Irvine feels to me. Like, Irvine feels like you first moved there and everything's cool, and then one day they replaced you with like a robot Fumi.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
it gives me that vibe.
It's also very red, which is not fun.
Oh, is it? Okay, I haven't been in a while. I mean, Orange County, yeah, but yeah.
But you described to me one time as like people who got their shit and don't want to share it with anybody else.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of true. Of a lot of places,
that's what it feels. But you know, I've never been to Westchester. Maybe it's really nice, but like, I think that despite the fact that you and Gina are like fashion gods, I think it's time.
Yeah,
it's time. Well, not now, but like I don't know. A lot of my friends who had kids in New York City, they'll by the time they turn like 3 or 4, they move to like Philly or something, you know.
Yeah.
But I think LA would be good. I mean, you know, you're from there. You know, your family's there. Gina's family's also in California.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's good to have family close by.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true. I always have to, and I can't tell if this is me being a good dad or like a bad artist or whatever, but I'm always like, well, if I go there, will I still like do, you know, like I've been doing this, whatever you want to call it, this career, quote unquote, for so long that if I go there, will everything collapse?
That's
and I'll just become, I just become
it
like
it won't collapse, guy. But you really, like, I even struggled to break into the scene. It took me like 3-4 months of like really, really trying. You know, and I didn't have kids. I didn't have Marie at the time. Like I'm just really focusing on comedy. Sure. Like, if you don't do that, then like it might take you longer, or you could sort of get lost in this. Like, I mean, look, you're not going to be doing as many spots, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of like artistry, there's people out there making stuff, and there's a lot of like creators. I mean, I know you're doing more like front-facing stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're into that, come to LA, I guess. But also like
way more green screens out there.
I do want to say that again, it really just depends on like what you want to do, and I truly believe if you really, really wanted to do comedy, you can do it out of fucking Chicago if you wanted to. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be in LA. You'll make it happen because you want to make it happen.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really. By the way, if your reason for not moving out of New York to raise your family in like a better environment is because I want to do a show with the Grizzly Bear, that's a bad dad, you know.
Yeah, that's a bad dad. Yeah, but I got a Tuesday night spot over at the Funny Lantern.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, bro.
Yeah, you're ready, bro. You're ready. Look at these pants. What is this even? You're ready, bro.
You know what? It doesn't matter if you roast me because I'm just you in 5 years, bro. You're going to be on these pants. You're going to be on these pants. You're going to be buying it from my eBay handle.
You know what's so funny is I feel like in the past years, you would dress like Jerry Seinfeld from the 90s or like a dad, ironically, in a fashion way. Yeah. But every year, every like 3-4 months I come back and I see you, there's less irony. This shit's for real.
Yeah, no,
like,
this is just comfortable. I just like
these.
No, I just like these pants. I just like the big pockets.
Yes, like next time I come back, I'm gonna see a big bag from Kohl's over there. You know what I mean?
But that's what so like that's what it's all about.
With that.
What there's some beautiful. I'm sure there's some sort of Japanese fucking bullshit Zen term for this. Where it's like you're who you are and who your pants are and who your car rims and who your car rims are all like it's zojirushi. You know, it's like it's zojirushi when there's like a unity of mind, body, spirit. You know what I'm saying?
And mind, body, spirit, rims.
eBay pants. eBay pants, vintage t-shirts, Jinko. When it's all together, and everything is like in perfect harmony, zojirushi.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yo, okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, man. It was so much fun.
I mean, you're doing your little tour right now, and everything like tell people.
Oh my gosh, what's going on? It would mean the world to me if you still remember me and if you want to come see me do comedy live. This is how I make money now. I'm going to Chicago October 17th, I think. And then I'm doing Providence October 5th, Chicopee, Massachusetts October 6th to 7, and then I'm going to Dallas in March, and then Irvine January 10th. But all these dates are on FUMI'S.com. So if you live in any of those cities, Providence, Chicopee, Massachusetts, Chicago, Dallas, Irvine. If you live in any of those and you want to come see me, go to FUMI'S.com and you can get tickets there. Okay, please go check it out. And you can always follow the podcast at AsianNotAsianPod.com on Instagram. And you can find me on there at Nice Pants Bro. We're going to have you back on. We're going to try to wait a year and a half. I would love to do this when Jenny's around. Yes. Yeah. You guys have not really talked a bit. I spoke to her once. Yeah. All right. Maybe she's a small little lady. Maybe you are Jenny. You ever realize that you and Jenny are never in the same room? Oh my God. Yeah. You're like, you don't even know. You're like, you just keep blacking out. She's the Tyler Durden. She's out there making soap. All right. Well, until then, we love you. Be good. Bye. Bye.